Introduction. When most people think of American wars, they recall the Revolution, Civil War, World Wars, and Vietnam. But the U.S. has fought numerous lesser-known conflicts that left lasting impacts, shaping borders, foreign policy, military strategy, and civil rights. These are the forgotten wars America fought, and why they still matter. 1. The Quasi-War, 1798 to 1800. Enemy: France. Location: Atlantic Ocean and Caribbean. Why it happened? After the French Revolution, tensions rose between France and the U.S. over American neutrality and trade. French privateers began seizing American ships. What happened? An undeclared naval war broke out. The U.S. Navy, newly formed, battled French ships mostly in the Caribbean. Outcome: a peace treaty ended the conflict. It marked the birth of the U.S. Navy and proved America could stand up to European powers. 2. The Barbary Wars, 1801 to 1805, 1815. Enemy: North African pirates, Barbary states, Tripoli, Algiers, Tunis. Why it happened? American ships were being captured and held for ransom by pirates demanding tribute. What happened? President Jefferson sent the Navy and Marines to protect U.S. interests, leading to the famous line, "To the shores of Tripoli." Outcome: it was America's first overseas military campaign, helping establish U.S. presence abroad. 3. The Creek War, 1813 to 1814. Enemy: Red Stick Creek, a Native American faction. Location: southeastern U.S. Why it happened? Part of broader Native resistance against U.S. expansion. What happened? Led by future President Andrew Jackson, U.S. forces crushed the Red Sticks at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. Outcome: massive land cessions from the Creek. It set the stage for Indian removal policies later. 4. The Black Hawk War, 1832. Enemy: Sauk leader Black Hawk and his followers. Why it happened? Black Hawk led his people back across the Mississippi River to reclaim tribal lands in Illinois. What happened? A short but bloody war followed. Abraham Lincoln, Jefferson Davis, and Winfield Scott were all involved. Outcome: Native resistance in the Midwest was crushed. It was a turning point in U.S. expansion westward. 5. The Philippine-American War, 1899 to 1902. Enemy: Filipino revolutionaries. Why it happened? After defeating Spain in the Spanish-American War, the U.S. took control of the Philippines. But Filipinos had been promised independence. What happened? A brutal guerrilla war followed. Thousands of civilians and soldiers died. Outcome: the U.S. retained control until 1946. It was America's first major overseas insurgency war and a preview of Vietnam. 6. The Banana Wars, 1898 to 1934. Enemy: various Central American and Caribbean nations. Why it happened? The U.S. intervened militarily in countries like Haiti, Nicaragua, Honduras, and the Dominican Republic, often to protect business interests like United Fruit Company. What happened? Marines occupied nations, installed friendly governments, and suppressed revolts. Outcome: the term Banana Republic comes from this era. It shaped U.S. Latin America relations for decades. 7. The Moro Rebellion, 1899 to 1913. Enemy: Moro Muslims in the southern Philippines. Why it happened? After the Philippine-American War, conflict continued, with Islamic communities resisting U.S. rule. What happened? The war was characterized by fierce resistance, jungle fighting, and controversial tactics, including the use of brutal counterinsurgency. Outcome: the U.S. eventually crushed the rebellion. The conflict still echoes in the modern Philippines. 8. The occupation of Veracruz, 1914. Enemy: Mexico, under General Huerta. Why it happened? Amid the Mexican Revolution, the U.S. landed troops to prevent arms shipments and assert control. What happened? U.S. forces occupied the port of Veracruz for 6 months. Outcome: the invasion strained U.S. Mexico relations. It's one of the few times American troops directly occupied part of Mexico after 1848. 9. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953. Why it's forgotten? Though technically not obscure, It's often called the Forgotten War because it's overshadowed by World War II and Vietnam. What happened? U.S. troops fought to stop North Korean and Chinese communists from taking South Korea. Outcome: an armistice created a permanent divide. 70 years later, North and South Korea remain separated, and the U.S. still maintains troops in the region. 10. The invasion of Grenada, 1983. Why it happened? The U.S. invaded to remove a Marxist government and protect American medical students. What happened? A swift military action took control of the island in just days. Outcome: criticized internationally, but seen by many Americans as a show of strength after Vietnam. It was a Cold War message. The U.S. would act in its backyard. Conclusion: these forgotten wars didn't make it into every textbook, but they reshaped America's military, politics, and global role. They reveal a deeper truth, that American history is not just a tale of glory, but one of ambition, complexity, and consequence.